All right, so today we're gonna dive into what seems like kind of paradox,
Okay.
a potential teacher layoff in South Africa,
Right.
a country already dealing with a teacher shortage.
Yeah.
It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where on the surface you go, well, that doesn't really make sense.
Right.
To understand this, we really need to look at sort of the historical context here.
Okay.
The legacy of apartheid in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
For years and years, under that system, resources were very unfairly distributed.
Of course.
And this left many communities with extremely inadequate schools and underpaid teachers.
So you're saying when apartheid ended, there was this huge push to try and rectify the situation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Needed more teachers, needed better facilities, essentially a complete educational overhaul.
Yeah. I can see how that would put some strain on resources.
It did.
Yeah.
And the government really had to play catch up, and one of the key promises was fair compensation for educators.
Makes sense.
And this led to a series of wage agreements that, while necessary, have obviously significantly impacted the education budget.
Yeah, our source, pasted text, actually highlights how big of an impact, saying that in some provinces, over 80% of the education budget is allocated to salaries.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's like spending 80% of your monthly budget on just rent, leaving very little for anything else.
That's a very striking comparison, actually, and that really is the heart of the issue.
Okay.
While I think everybody agrees that teachers deserve fair wages, this has created a real financial strain, leading to some very, very difficult choices.
Choices like potentially laying off teachers.
Potentially, yeah.
Pasted text says the Western Cape is looking at losing 2,400 teachers and KwaZulu-Natal over 11,000.
Wow.
Those are huge numbers.
They are huge numbers, and what makes this even more complex, right, is that it's not just about the number of teachers, because these wage increases, they apply across the board.
Right.
So even if they let go of some teachers, the overall salary expenditure might not actually go down significantly.
Yeah. It's not as simple as just like reducing the number of teachers, right?
Exactly.
It's like they're trying to solve this complex equation with just one variable.
Yeah, and it's a tough situation all around.
Yeah, so it's not as simple as just, like getting rid of some teachers to balance the budget.
Right. It's way more complicated than that.
So what are the potential consequences then?
Right.
Not just for the teachers facing layoffs,
Right.
but for the students themselves.
Yeah, that's really the heart of it all, isn't it?
Right.
Pasted text paints a pretty worrying picture here,
Okay.
especially for already under-resourced schools.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like classrooms with 60 or more students to one teacher.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's hard to even fathom that.
It's tough.
How can one educator possibly provide individual attention
Exactly.
and support in that kind of environment?
It's almost impossible and really undermines the entire point of education.
Yeah.
The article even suggests that this could lead to a decline in the quality of education overall,
Okay.
lower academic achievements,
Right.
and a much higher dropout rate.
And that's especially true among students from disadvantaged backgrounds, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
It just perpetuates that cycle of inequality that South Africa's been trying so hard to break free from.
It's a domino effect.
It's really concerning that pasted text mentions that South Africa was warned about this potential teacher shortage years ago.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, this wasn't unpredictable.
And the real irony is that they're facing potential layoffs.
Right.
But they also desperately need more educators.
Especially in those specialized fields.
Absolutely, like math and science and languages.
It's like they're being squeezed from both sides.
It's a tough spot to be in.
So what are officials saying about this whole multifaceted crisis?
Well, pasted text highlights that both national and provincial officials are urging the government to step in.
To do what?
Well, they're calling for increased funding.
Which makes sense on the surface.
Yeah,
But as we've seen, throwing money at the problem isn't some magical solution.
exactly. You're right. It's not a standalone solution. The article suggests a more holistic approach,
Okay.
one that involves a thorough review of the entire funding model.
Not just teacher salaries.
Right, but also infrastructure,
Okay.
resources,
Right.
and attracting new teachers.
Right. It's about finding that sustainable approach
Yeah.
that addresses the needs of everyone.
Everyone involved.
The teachers, the students, and really the future of education in South Africa.
Exactly.
Are there any specific solutions being proposed?
Wow.
Have other countries faced similar challenges?
Yeah.
And what lessons can be learned from their experiences?
So pasted text doesn't really delve into specific examples from other countries,
Okay.
but it does highlight one very crucial point.
Okay.
The Department of Basic Education admits that the current budget allocations are unsustainable long term.
So they're acknowledging that they need a new plan.
They're acknowledging it's not going to work.
So they're saying it's not working, but like, what does a new plan even look like? Are there any like, glimmers of hope in pasted text?
Well,
Any potential solutions being discussed?
it doesn't necessarily offer concrete solutions,
Okay.
but the fact that they are having all these urgent meetings to address this
Okay.
does suggest they are taking it seriously.
Right.
Pasted text mentions that you've got like national and provincial education ministers,
Uh-huh.
departmental heads all involved.
Yeah, it sounds like they're finally realizing how urgent this is.
Yeah,
But simply, like we've been saying, just throwing more money at it
right.
isn't the answer.
It's not that simple.
So beyond increasing the education budget, what needs to happen?
Well, it's going to have to be a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
But I think for starters, attracting and retaining qualified educators,
Yes.
especially in those really underserved communities, that's got to be a priority.
So making the teaching profession more appealing,
Yeah, exactly.
especially for, new teachers entering the field.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes beyond just attracting them,
Yeah.
right?
Of course. You also have to think about the teachers already there,
Right.
investing in those existing educators.
Yeah, providing them with more support and better resources.
Exactly. Giving them what they need to really thrive in the classroom.
So things like smaller class sizes,
Exactly.
access to technology, up-to-date materials,
All of that.
and just, ongoing professional development.
Professional development is really key.
And one that's tailored to their needs.
Absolutely.
So really it's about, creating this environment
Yeah.
where teachers feel supported, they feel valued,
Right? Yeah.
and they feel empowered to do their best work.
Exactly. And ultimately, that's what benefits the students the most, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about numbers on a budget sheet.
Right.
It's about investing in South Africa's future.
Right.
It's human capital.
Yeah. Their greatest resource.
Because if you have a well-educated population,
Mm-hmm.
that is crucial for economic growth, social progress, everything.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the headlines about budget cuts and layoffs and all of that. But this is so much more nuanced than that.
Absolutely.
It's about the legacy of inequality.
right.
It's about trying to figure out how to allocate resources fairly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the urgent need for some really innovative solutions here
We need some new ideas.
to make sure that every student has access to quality education.
It's crucial.
And this story, it resonates beyond just South Africa.
At source, yeah.
This is something that a lot of countries are grappling with.
Teacher shortages, budget constraints,
Yeah.
trying to keep up with a rapidly changing world,
It leaves us with a lot to think about.
for sure.
How do we create sustainable funding models for education?
Right. How do we make this work long term?
How do we attract and retain those passionate educators?
Yeah, those are the people we need.
And how do we guarantee that every single child, no matter their background, has the opportunity to succeed?
Those are the questions we should all be asking.
Big questions.
Because it's important. The future depends on it.
It really does.
Yeah.
And as always, we encourage you, our listeners, to keep exploring this issue.
Yeah, do your own research.
Read pasted text.
Yes.
Read other sources, stay informed,
Mhm.
and think about how you can be a part of the solution.
Exactly. We can all make a difference.
Until next time, keep diving deep.